Hey, today I wanted to tell you guys about the trucking company TMC Transportation and the orientation. I know a lot of you are eager to start your flatbed careers with the carrier, but there are some things you should be aware of before you make that trip. So without further ado, let's get started. First thing you should know, and should be very clear about before you go, is that the orientation is not you officially becoming a TMC employee. Do not go up there with the expectation in your head that you're going to go through orientation, fill out paperwork, and after that you have a job right off the bat. It's pretty much a long interview process or something like tryouts, just to put it in sports terms. You might hear about TMC being this strict military-style company, but I don't see it that way entirely. You're not going to go up there and see Major Payne type characters or anything like that. But then again, I wasn't there nearly long enough to see real military-like tactics. However, they stand on straight business when it comes to their policies and whatnot. But I'll touch more on my time being there in a little bit. Now I'm going to tell you about the application process, which is really simple. You apply like any other job on the company website, filling out work history, background checks, and so on and so forth. At most, a recruiter will get back with you within 2 days to discuss a start day for orientation, which can be any Monday. You will either go to Des Moines, Iowa, or South Carolina, depending on where you live. I went to Iowa. The recruiter should send you an itinerary on travel. Now, the method of travel can be displeasing, to say the least, if you're someone like me. You're carpooling with other people in your area who are attending orientation. So what they do is they assign someone that's close to you a rental car who is attending orientation, and they pick you up and you all go from there. When I did it, it was 2 people that I carpooled with and I was the rental car person. But the way I did it was that I had both guys that I had to pick up meet me at the airport because that's where the rental car was located, and it was fairly close to all of us. As you can imagine, it was awkward driving for 4 hours with 2 complete strangers. I didn't drive the whole way though. I let someone else take over when we got to Davenport, so I drove for 2.5 hours. When you get to the hotel, which is actually owned by TMC, you check in, refill the rental car, and take it to the airport. That's only if they put the rental in your name, so that means you don't keep the rental the duration that you're there, which I felt at the time sucked because there were no stores or restaurants close to the hotel to go to. But they said they'll provide a shuttle bus that goes to Walmart on Wednesdays. Another thing that I didn't like was that the rooms at the hotel were double occupancy and that you'll have a roommate. Cliche enough, my roommate was one of the guys I rode with. The whole roommate thing is just weird to me. You're sharing like 150 square feet of living space with a complete stranger. I get why they do it, but it can lead to situations that TMC is not going to want to be in the middle of. But since you're not paying for lodging, transportation, and you have the opportunity to get paid while you learn a trade, you can't complain too much, I guess. So now that you're settled in, it's time for orientation the next day. Now they want you ready to be on the bus at 6 a.m. They actually use military time there, but I'm not going to here. They have breakfast provided at the hotel, but I didn't bother because I didn't want to miss the bus for anything, because I heard missing the bus leads to consequences. So when you get there, they're gonna split you guys up based on experience. If you have your CDL already, you're considered experienced. If you don't, you're inexperienced, obviously. Can't tell you much of anything about the experienced group cause. At the time, I didn't have my CDL. When they split you guys up, they're going to put you in these rooms with computers to start the onboarding process because everything is electronic. However, before you guys even sign in, they're going to take you all to the clinic for drug testing and physicals via bus. This will be an extremely long process. If there are anywhere near the same amount of people there were when I went, they did about 6 at a time. This is the start of the weeding out process. They're going to claim that it's not a weeding out process and they would like to hire all of you, but that's complete BS. They find anything wrong with your piss test, you're gone, and that possibly messes you up in the future for other CDL endeavors. If they feel like something is physically wrong with you to the point you can't do the job, you're gone. So make sure you're clean and able to do the job without a serious problem. So now if you're able to get by this phase in orientation, It's time to test your physical flatbed abilities. You will be graded on a number-based system for each test the instructor wants you to do. The numbers are from 1 to 3. You should want to aim for 3s on all of your tests. First, they're going to test your balance. They will have all of you stand in a big circle and stand on 1 foot for what I think was 30 seconds twice. Easy enough, right? Should be a free 3 points, so after that is probably what's going to decide many people's fate. It's the tarp test. You have to pick up a 100+ pound tarp over your shoulder, walk a couple of feet, put the tarp onto the flatbed by a steel coil, go the opposite direction and climb up onto the flatbed. Use 3 points of contact to get past the steel coil. Pick the tarp back up while being on the flatbed. Get the tarp over the steel coil, which is probably the hardest part. Go to the opposite side of the coil, push the tarp down to the ground, pick the tarp back up and walk with it on your shoulder again and get it ready for the next person. Sounds like a lot, but it isn't really that bad when you see it in person, especially if you're a physically fit person. But with that being said, this is where most people don't make it, including me. I forgot to mention that before you do this test, the instructor shows you how you should pick up the tarp, but you must use the same technique he used without a problem. If you give any indication of struggle, poor lifting, or fatigue during the test, the instructor will give you ones on your score for this, which will result in you getting the boot most likely. When I did it, the instructor told me he didn't like how I had the tarp over my shoulder. He felt I was guaranteed to injure my back one day, so he gave me ones on this test. All is not lost, because there's another test which is testing your fear of heights and the ability to climb a ladder. There are going to be 2 guys holding the ladder while one person climbs, which I think is 14 feet onto a container. You have to make sure while you're climbing the ladder, you only grab onto the steps and not the sides, and you have to go down the same way. So be careful and don't look squeamish or you're getting ones. As I said before, I didn't make it through the entire orientation day. The instructor showed me my scores and told me I was going to have a talk with the manager about different job opportunities that I'll be more suited for, but I knew it was cap. As soon as I got to his office, he told me my scores were below standards and how he was going to get me a bus back to the crib. That's right, a bus, Greyhound type stuff. And it's not a one-way trip either. It's multiple stops, then your destination. It really sucks and can be nerve-wracking for some. But I hope none of that scares you all away from a great career with a flatbed carrier like TMC. I made this video so that you guys can be well prepared for orientation and really know what to expect. I don't want any one of you to make the trip from home thinking you're going into a trucking company that's going to train you for 2 weeks, then boom, you're a TMC employee just like that. Don't be mistaken though, this could be a lot of you guys' reality. I let a tarp send me home. This won't be an issue for a majority of you. Just remember what I said before. It's a long interview process, so conduct yourself accordingly. And also, if you do any drugs, do not go. If you are physically incapable, do not go. Afraid of heights or have a phobia, do not go. I even saw a video on YouTube where they didn't want this young man because he had long dreadlocks. And I think they gave him an ultimatum. So, brothers out there with locks or growing out your hair in general, be mindful of that as well. They have 0 issues with sending you packing day 1. Don't do that awkward long drive and sleep with a stranger overnight just to get sent home not even 24 hours later. And that was just me mentioning the tests I did. I didn't even mention the math test they have you do after the ladder climb or when you actually get to touch a truck, which I assume is sometime after orientation day. But all in all, I wasn't tripping about it because I knew the man above had bigger things planned for me, which he did. But I'll be lying if I told you all I didn't feel like complete crap after not even making it to day 2. And the fact that I had to take buses back home. It was a very discouraging feeling to say the least. It was like 7 or 8 other people who didn't make it, but that didn't make me feel any better because 3 of the people were women and 1 was old as hell, so I felt a little embarrassed. But luckily, you guys aren't me and you're gonna have long careers as truck drivers, whether that's at TMC or somewhere else. So good luck, and I really wish you all very well in the future.